The end of the decade is coming up, and that means I am here to talk about a bunch of my favorite films from this decade, splitting it up into certain groups before I talk about my top 10 25 films of the decade. Today's video is going to be on my top 10 favorite animated films from this decade. We got a long list coming ahead, guys, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and if you guys are new here, make sure to comment down below and let me know what your guys' thoughts are, because film is subjective. I'm going to have animated films on here that you might not, and I want to discuss them with you guys down below. So thank you guys again so much for watching this. Again, hit that like and subscribe button. Helps out the channel. You guys get a bunch of great content, and I'm here just to discuss this stuff with you. So guys, of course, let's get started. My number 10 is going to be the only anime film, sadly, on this list, but that is Your Name. I love anime films, and I think when it comes to Your Name, this is the most spectacular one of the last couple of years. This is the one that is locked in and engraved its every ounce into my mind. The fact that there's even talk about a live action version of this, I don't want any version of that. Your Name is so subtle, but at the same time carries a story that is thematically heartwarming while at the same time emotionally investing. It's one that keeps you so invested all the way till the end that it's hard to not keep this in the back of your membrane ever since you've seen it. Actually, for an anime film, many people just don't want to watch them. I think Your Name's one of the most accessible ones to date. Coming in at my number 9 is going to be Kung Fu Panda 2. Absolutely one of the best DreamWorks films ever created. You know, I really have a lot of fun with the first Kung Fu Panda, but there's something to the second one that makes me just strike out with such happiness. It's such a fascinating movie, and it's one that elevates all the characters, has a fantastic villain, and some of the best animation of this decade as well, while intertwining some of the greatest action sequences of this decade. There's some great sequences in here, and there's just something about Po's character in here, and the way that they elevate and add more into him. Well, while Kung Fu Panda 3 was good, I think Kung Fu Panda 2 is just that next level animated film that is for adults and kids. Coming in at my number 8 is a film that probably tore a lot of our hearts out, was Big Hero 6. One of the best comic book films ever. Now, while I will say it's not an adaptation, there are very many changes to it. Baymax is an iconic Disney character now, and I love what they did with him. He's memorable, he's adorable, and he's one of my favorite characters to quote and repeat a lot of the things that he says. But it's also the team here that is built about, and I know that we have a TV show, but I actually thought Big Hero 6 was one of the movies that definitely deserved a sequel out of any of the Disney films that they have created in the last couple of years. Big Hero 6 is memorable, exciting, enthralling, and overall one of the most gorgeous animated films of this decade. San Francisco is one of the coolest locations you can possibly create for a film. Coming in at my number 7 is going to be Kubo and the Two Strings, one of my favorite clay animation films ever. This film deserves so many awards the year it came out, and the way that they created, if you look at any of the behind the scenes, it is fascinating. This film is incredible. It's emotional, it's investing, and while it might be a little bit predictable for some of the elements towards the end of the film, there's something about Kubo that just feels relatable while you're on this journey, and the way that they create this odyssey of sorts is just wonderful. Coming in at my number 6 is going to be Inside Out. Now, I switched my Pixar rankings quite a bit after watching them, and Inside Out, though, is one of my favorite animated films of this decade. A lot of the reason being of how emotionally investing it got me and how relatable it was, especially when it comes down to bing bong, one of the most sad moments in there. I don't want to get into spoilers on that if you've never seen Inside Out, but there's a sequence with Bing Bong, the imaginary friend, that kind of harkened back to when I was younger, and this film dealing with the emotions that go through your body, it's hilarious, it's heartwarming, it's kind of depressing and scary. But it's something about this that Pixar does so well, that this film is for kids while at the same is for adults. It grows on you, it's hilarious, it's funny, but at the same time makes you emotionally invested, and I think that's some of the best Pixar Disney films that you can possibly get. And again, the animation is superb. I love Inside Out. Before we get into my number 5, guys, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Comment down below. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on my list and what is your list. And make sure to hit over to Sam Sean Films on how to see films early. And of course, guys, a big thank you to you and a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. But before we get further, I do want to give some honorable mentions to Wreck-It Ralph, Tangled, Moana, and the Lego Movie. All great animated films. And I'm really missing a lot, I know, but let's get straight into this. My number 5 is going to be the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. Now, I know it's a cop-out. I couldn't pick one. If I truly had to pick one, I'd probably pick the original one. But there's something special about this trilogy that DreamWorks succeeded in, where each and every one got better and better and better to some people, where in fact they were just all pretty perfect films. Like, this is a great trilogy, and it's one of the best trilogies ever made. It's emotional, and the way that the character arcs and all the characters grow through each movie is progressive. It's something that you can sit there and really watch the Hiccup grow from this young boy to a man from the third one. You see his relationship with, of course, the amazing Toothless in there as well. The animation, the stunning artwork, and just a man's best friend story with a dragon. It's excellent. It's superb, and it's just fantastic. And plus, I really like the villain of the third one and a lot of the messages that the films put out. Coming in on my number 4 is going to be Coco. What a big surprise for me. I didn't know what to expect from Coco. None of the trailers really gravitated to me, but when I went to see that movie, I was blown away. Not from just the animation, because the animation is honestly jaw-dropping in its own right, but it's the story, it's the musical numbers, it's everything about that. And when it gets to that Remember Me song by the end, if you're not in tears, you have no soul. It is a excellent movie. When you hear Pixar's making a Day of the Dead movie, you have to twiddle your thumbs, fingers, and everything like that and be like, how am I gonna feel about this? But it turned out to work in the very end of it. Great messages, great music, and it just a more of an appreciation of the culture and the holiday of the Day of the Dead. Coming in at my number 3 is going to be Zootopia. What a fascinating new world that Disney has created. Again, another movie that deserves a sequel to explore more into this world. I love the characters in here, the way that they explore them. Jason Bateman is incredible as the fox, and just the way that they play around with this world and the kind of in a sense, the satire on our world inside Zootopia is hilarious. That's all enthralled throughout it, while also going about and having fun with the food chain of animals. This is just a clever movie, and one that is instantly rewatchable, and I actually think is one of the few Disney classics that we got through this generation, and in general this decade. Coming in at my number 2 is going to be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. What a big surprise. When they announced the film, I very much talked about that. They announced Spider-Verse, I said, animated Spider-Man film, I don't need it. Even though Spider-Man's my favorite comic book hero of all time, I wasn't excited for it. Buzz came out about it, that it was really good. Saw it, my jaw hit the floor, and it was my favorite film of that year. The animation is so unique, but it's the story it's telling. The Miles Morales, the characters, the humor, everything about it. It's just one of the most wildly unique and creative animated films ever created, and also one of the most unique and wildly creative comic book films. One that hit me so hard in the heart, pulled me away, hit my heartstrings, and got me emotionally invested. Plus, the soundtrack is just a chef's kiss. It's so beautiful. Of course, coming in my number 1 is another cop-out. It's Toy Story 3 and 4. Again, I'm a Toy Story fanatic. I love Toy Story. It's my favorite franchise of all time. Some of you guys might be like, oh, Toy Story 4, I don't like that one. I don't care. I think it's perfect. I'll defend the film to the end of the day. I think it's a great theme of rediscovery and discovery of where something happens in your life and where's your next purpose. And I love that about Toy Story 4. I think Toy Story 3 is a great conclusion to Andy's story. I think Toy Story 4 is a fantastic conclusion to Woody's story. I think they both intersect perfectly. If Toy Story 3 was the true conclusion, this is the epilogue to the whole story. It's hilarious. It's funny. All the great new characters in here are a laugh right. And then Toy Story 3 is one of the best Prison Break films ever created. New characters, new worlds, and just exploration of what happens to our characters when your owner does grow up. These are some of the most hilarious, heartwarming films that you can ever watch, while at the same time making you cry just a bit. Maybe not just a bit. A lot of it. But guys, that's going to be my top 10 animated films of this decade. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this list. Did you guys like it? Did you hate it? Let's discuss it down below. What is your guys' list? Thank you guys again so much for watching this. And of course, until next time, stay classy.